I stood on my own front lawn, watching my clothes sail through the second-story window. Shirts, pants, even my dead wife's photo landed in the dirt. My daughter-in-law Amber leaned out, face twisted with rage. "We don't need your charity anymore, old man. Go die in a nursing home." My son Travis stood behind her, silent. 12 years I'd fed them, sheltered them, paid their bills. Today they'd won $60 million. Today they wanted me gone. I smiled up at her. "Did you read the name on that ticket?" The look on Amber's face should have told me everything I needed to know. Her eyes went wide for just a second before she slammed the window shut. I stood there in my yard, staring at my belongings scattered across the grass like trash. My favorite flannel shirt, the one Martha had given me on our 30th anniversary, was caught on a rose bush. I walked over and pulled it free, feeling the thorns scrape against my weathered hands. The front door was locked. I tried my key. Nothing. They'd changed the locks already. Within hours of that lottery win, they'd planned this whole thing out. I knocked, then pounded. No answer. I could see movement through the curtains. They were in there, in my house, the house I'd bought with Martha 43 years ago when Travis was just a baby. I walked back to my car, a 2009 Honda Civic with 178,000 miles on it. The driver's side door squeaked when I opened it. I sat behind the wheel and tried to think clearly. My hands were shaking. At 71 years old, I thought I'd seen every kind of betrayal life could offer. I buried my wife 8 years ago. I'd watched friends die, seen businesses fail, lived through enough heartbreak to fill a dozen lifetimes. But this, my own son, I needed money. I needed a place to stay. I drove to First National Bank on Maple Street, the same bank where I'd held an account for 47 years. Inside, the air conditioning made me shiver. I approached the counter where a young woman named Stephanie worked. I'd seen her dozens of times over the years. "Hi, Mr. Whitmore," she said with her usual smile. "What can I help you with today?" "I need to withdraw some money from my account," I said. "Enough for a hotel for a few nights." She typed on her computer. Her smile faded. "Mr. Whitmore, I'm showing your account balance at $7.42. My stomach dropped. "That's impossible. I had $73,000 in there last week." More typing. Her face grew concerned. "I see a large withdrawal 3 days ago. $50,000. Then smaller withdrawals over the past 2 days totaling just over $22,000. The account is joint with Travis Whitmore. He has full access." "Travis? Of course. The account I'd set up 5 years ago when Martha was dying," she'd insisted. "For emergencies," she'd said. "So Travis can help you if something happens to you." I'd been so focused on making sure our son was taken care of that I'd given him the keys to everything. "Can you print out the transaction history?" I asked, my voice barely steady. She handed me 3 pages. 50,000 withdrawn at this branch. Then ATM withdrawals. 2,000 here, 3,000 there. Travis had systematically drained the account. Money I'd saved over decades. Money from Martha's life insurance. Money I'd planned to use for my final years. I left the bank in a daze. In my car, I checked my wallet. $83 in cash. I pulled out my credit cards and tried the Visa at a gas station. Declined. The MasterCard. Declined. I called the number on the back of the Visa. "I'm sorry, Mr. Whitmore," the customer service representative said. "That card was canceled yesterday by an authorized user." "Who authorized this?" I asked, though I already knew. "Travis Whitmore. He's listed as an authorized user on the account. He has the right to manage the card." I hung up, sat there at the gas pump, watched people coming and going, living their normal lives, while mine fell apart in real time. I thought about the past 12 years, how it had started. Travis had lost his job as a dental technician. The office where he worked closed down suddenly. He and Amber had been living in a cramped apartment, drowning in debt. They'd come to us, to me and Martha, asking for help. Just temporary, they'd said, just until Travis found something new. Martha had cancer by then, stage 3. She'd looked at me with those soft brown eyes and said, "Harold, he's our son. We help family." So they moved in, into the guest room upstairs. The room that had been Travis's as a boy, that we'd converted to a sewing room for Martha, that now became theirs. Temporary became permanent. Travis looked for work, but nothing paid enough. Amber didn't work. Said she had anxiety, couldn't handle job stress. Martha got sicker. Travis and Amber were supposed to help, but somehow I ended up doing everything. Cooking, cleaning, taking Martha to chemotherapy appointments while they stayed home. After Martha died, I'd told myself they were grieving too. That's why they didn't help more. That's why I was still paying for everything. Their car insurance, their cell phones, their groceries, everything, year after year. And I did it because Martha had made me promise. "Take care of Travis," she'd whispered the night before she died. "Promise me, Harold." I'd promised. And I'd kept that promise for 8 years after she was gone. Even when Amber started making little comments. "This house is so old-fashioned, Harold. When are you going to update it?" Even when Travis stopped looking me in the eye. Even when I realized they didn't see me as family anymore. They saw me as an ATM machine. An old man who paid the bills and should be grateful for their company. And now this. I tried calling Travis's cell phone, straight to voicemail. I tried again, and again. On the 7th try, he answered. "What do you want?" His voice was cold, sharp. Nothing like the boy who used to climb into my lap and ask me to read him stories. "Travis, son, we need to talk about this. Come on, let's sit down and figure this out." "There's nothing to figure out, Dad. Mom's gone. You don't have any power over me anymore. Amber says we've been your servants long enough. We won the lottery. We're free now." "Free? Travis? I gave you everything. For 12 years, I've taken care of you both. This is how you repay that?" "Repay?" He laughed. It was a bitter, ugly sound. "You think we owe you? You think letting us live in your house means we're supposed to worship you forever?" "Amber's right. You're a manipulative old man who used money to control us. Well, we have our own money now. We don't need you." The line went dead. I sat in my car and felt something break inside my chest. Not a heart attack. Worse, the breaking of hope. The shattering of the belief that family meant something, that love mattered more than money. I tried to check into the Holiday Inn on Route 47. The woman at the desk was polite but firm. "I'm sorry, sir. Your credit card was declined. Do you have another form of payment?" I showed her my cash. "I have $83. Our rooms start at $97 per night, not including tax." I got back in my car, drove to a cheaper motel on the edge of town. Same story. My cash wasn't enough, and my cards didn't work. The sun was setting. I'd eaten nothing since breakfast. I bought a hamburger from a drive-thru for $6.39. Sat in the parking lot of a closed grocery store and ate it slowly, making it last. Then I thought about the house. How 5 years ago, my lawyer had suggested putting it in joint tenancy with Travis. For estate planning, Roger Pemberton had said, "If something happens to you, the house goes directly to Travis without going through probate. It saves time and money." Martha had been dying. I wasn't thinking clearly. I'd signed the papers. That meant Travis legally owned half the house. He had every right to be there. And if he wanted to lock me out, I couldn't stop him. Not without a lawyer. Not without money for a lawyer. The lottery ticket. That was the key. I'd bought that ticket. I bought 5 tickets every Friday, had done so for 12 years. It was my routine. My small rebellion against the monotony of aging. $5 for 5 chances to dream. I kept them in the kitchen drawer, the one by the refrigerator. Anyone could access them. I'd never thought about security. Why would I? It was my house. My family. But which ticket won? When did they check it? I tried to remember. The drawing was on Saturday night. This was Tuesday. They must have checked it Monday or Tuesday morning. And Travis had taken it to the lottery office and submitted the claim. Possession is 9/10 of the law. That's what people always said. And Travis possessed the ticket. He'd filed the claim. His name was on the paperwork now. But I bought it. I had to have proof somewhere. My bank statement. That would show the purchase at Morton's gas station on Route 47. I always went there. Same place, same time, every Friday, between 2 and 3 in the afternoon. $15 for 5 tickets. The bank statement would show that. I spent my first night sleeping in my car. The parking lot was behind the grocery store, where the delivery trucks came in the morning. I reclined the seat as far as it would go, used my flannel shirt as a pillow, tried not to think about my bed at home. The memory foam mattress Martha and I had bought 6 years before she died. The down comforter. The way the morning sun came through the east window and made patterns on the wall. Instead, I thought about my next move. I'd go to Roger Pemberton in the morning. He'd handled Martha's estate. He knew me, knew my family. He'd help me sort this out. He'd know what to do about the ticket, about the house, about all of it. I drifted off around midnight, my back aching, my heart heavier than it had ever been. Morning came with a stiffness in my joints, that made me groan as I sat up. My neck had a crick in it from the angle of the seat. I was too old for this. Way too old. I drove to a gas station and used their bathroom to wash my face and hands. Looked at myself in the mirror. Gray hair sticking up at odd angles. Deep lines around my eyes. When had I gotten so old? Roger Pemberton's office was in a brick building downtown, second floor, with a view of the courthouse. I'd been there a dozen times over the years. Wills, estate planning, Martha's death certificate paperwork. Roger was 63, with silver hair and expensive suits. He'd always treated me with respect. His secretary, a woman named Diane, smiled when I walked in. "Mr. Whitmore, we haven't seen you in a while. Do you have an appointment?" "No, but it's urgent. I need to see Roger right away." She made a call, spoke quietly, then nodded. "He can see you now. Go right in." Roger's office smelled like leather and old books. He stood up from behind his mahogany desk and shook my hand. "Harold, good to see you. What brings you in?" I told him everything. The lottery ticket, the locks being changed, the bank account being drained, the credit cards canceled, sleeping in my car, Travis's cold voice on the phone, Amber throwing my belongings out the window. Roger listened, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. His expression was sympathetic, concerned. He nodded in all the right places. "This is serious, Harold," he said when I finished. "Very serious. Let's talk through the issues one at a time." He explained the lottery ticket problem. "The issue is proof of ownership. You say you bought it, but Travis submitted the claim. The Lottery Commission doesn't care who bought the ticket. They care who presents it and files the paperwork. It's like cash. Whoever holds it, owns it, essentially. But I have bank statements," I said. "They'll show I bought $15 worth of tickets at Morton's gas station that Friday. Every Friday. For years. That proves someone bought tickets," Roger said gently. "It doesn't prove which specific tickets. And it doesn't prove that you still own those tickets when Travis presented the winning one. For all the Lottery Commission knows, you could have given the tickets to him. I didn't give him anything. He took it." "Can you prove that? Were there witnesses? Security cameras?" I thought about it. Morton's had cameras, but the lottery purchase was 31 days ago. Would they still have the footage? Roger continued. "The house is another problem. You put it in joint tenancy with Travis. That means he has equal ownership rights. He's not trespassing. He has every legal right to be there. And he has every legal right to change the locks on his residence." "But it's my house," I said. "I bought it. I've been paying the mortgage, the taxes, the utilities, everything." "But you gave him half of it, legally, when you signed those papers. If you want to force him out, you'd need to file a partition lawsuit. That means going to court, arguing that the property should be sold and the proceeds divided. That could take months, maybe years, and it would cost money for a lawyer." "The bank account," I said. "He stole $73,000 from me. It was a joint account. He had legal access. In the eyes of the law, that money belonged to both of you equally. He didn't steal it. He withdrew his share." "His share? I put every penny of that in there. He never contributed anything." Roger spread his hands. "I understand, but the law sees it differently. Joint account means joint ownership." I felt the walls closing in. "So what can I do?" "Well, we could file a lawsuit, civil court. Claim that Travis defrauded you, took advantage of you, breached a duty of care. But lawsuits are expensive, Harold, and they're slow. And you'd need evidence, documentation, proof of wrongdoing, beyond just your word against his. How much would it cost? For something like this? Retainer of probably $50,000 to start, maybe more." I looked down at my hands, calloused, scarred from a lifetime of work. I have $83 to my name. Roger was quiet for a moment. Then his phone buzzed. He glanced at it. "Excuse me for just a moment, Harold. I need to take this." He stepped out of the office. I sat there, feeling the weight of my situation crushing down on me. Through the window, I could see people walking on the sidewalk below. Normal people with normal problems. Not 71-year-old men who'd lost everything in a single day. My eyes drifted to Roger's computer screen. It was angled slightly toward me. I could see his email inbox. The top message was from someone named A. Whitmore. The subject line made my blood run cold. Payment arrangement. 200 kelvins for favorable advice. I read it again. A. Whitmore. Amber Whitmore. $200,000. Roger came back into the office. His whole demeanor had changed. The warmth was gone. His face was professional, distant, like he was looking at a stranger instead of a client he'd known for 15 years. "Mr. Whitmore," he said, and the use of my formal name felt like a slap. Upon further reflection, "I don't think you have a case here. The house is in joint tenancy. Travis has equal rights. The lottery ticket claim is filed. Your bank account was joint access. Everything I'm seeing here is legally above board. My advice is to accept the situation. Perhaps Travis and Amber will be willing to help you find a nice retirement community. I think that would be best for everyone." I stared at him. "You just told me I could file a lawsuit. Now you're saying I have no case?" "I've reconsidered. The facts don't support your position." "Did Amber pay you?" The words came out before I could stop them. "I saw the email. $200,000. Roger's face went hard. "I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'd be very careful about making accusations like that, Harold. Very careful indeed. Defamation is a serious matter." I stood up. My legs felt weak. "You've known me for 15 years, Roger. You handled my wife's estate. And you're going to take money from the woman who threw me out of my house? I think this meeting is over. Diane will show you out." I left, walked down the stairs and out onto the street. The morning sun was bright, too bright. It hurt my eyes. I'd been betrayed by my son, my daughter-in-law, and now my lawyer. The people who were supposed to help me, protect me, had all chosen money over decency. I spent the rest of the day trying to find another lawyer. The first one, a woman named Patricia Summers, listened to my story and said, "This is complicated. I'd need a retainer of $75,000 to take this on. Lottery disputes are notoriously difficult." The second lawyer, a younger man named Brian Cole, was more sympathetic but equally unhelpful. "Mr. Whitmore, without documentation proving you still owned that ticket when it was claimed, you don't have much standing. And even if you did, Travis has already filed the claim. You'd be trying to undo something that's already in motion with the Lottery Commission. That's an uphill battle." By 3 in the afternoon, I was exhausted, hungry, down to $76 after buying another cheap hamburger. I drove back to the same parking lot behind the grocery store, reclined my seat, closed my eyes. That night, a police officer tapped on my window. I jerked awake, disoriented. His flashlight was bright in my face. "Sir, you can't sleep here. We've had reports of a suspicious vehicle." "I'm not suspicious," I said. I'm just tired. Do you have somewhere else you can go?" I didn't answer. He sighed. "Look, I can't let you stay here, but there's a shelter downtown, St. Jude's Mission. They might have a bed." "I'm not homeless," I said. He looked at me with pity. "Okay, sir, but you still can't stay here. I'm sorry." I drove away, parked behind a closed hardware store on the industrial side of town, locked my doors, tried to sleep, but every sound made me jump. Every set of headlights made me think someone was coming to move me along again. This was my life now. Sleeping in my car, eating dollar menu food, turned away by lawyers, betrayed by everyone I'd trusted. Day 3. I woke up with my back screaming in pain, the kind of pain that comes from sleeping in a car at 71 years old. I needed coffee, real coffee. Not gas station sludge, but something that would make me feel human again. I drove to my church, First Presbyterian on Elm Street. I'd been a member there for 32 years, every Sunday morning, sometimes Wednesday evenings too. After Martha died, that church had been my lifeline. The people there had brought me casseroles, sat with me during my grief, prayed for me. The parking lot was half full. I recognized most of the cars. Patricia Hayes's blue Subaru was there. Patricia had been Martha's best friend. They'd been in the same book club, volunteered together at the food bank. I'd known Patricia for decades. I got out of my car and walked toward the entrance. Patricia was just coming out, carrying a box of what looked like donated clothes. When she saw me, her face changed. Not surprise, not warmth. Disgust. She turned around and walked the other way, back into the church, like I was contaminated. I stood there, confused. Then I went inside. The church smelled like it always did. Old wood and candle wax, and a hint of lemon furniture polish. I found Pastor Douglas in his office, working on Sunday's sermon at his desk. "Harold," he said when I knocked. His voice was flat. "I didn't expect to see you here. I need help, Pastor. I need to talk to someone." He gestured to a chair, but didn't smile. Didn't offer me coffee or ask how I was doing. Just waited for me to speak. I told him a condensed version of everything. Pastor Douglas listened with his hands folded on his desk. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "Harold," he finally said. Perhaps it's best if you don't attend services for a while. My mouth went dry. What? Amber came by yesterday. She told us everything. How you made inappropriate comments to her over the years. How you criticized her constantly, made her feel unwelcome in her own home. How you threatened to throw them out if they didn't wait on you, hand and foot. She was crying, Harold. Really crying. Travis confirmed everything she said. That's not true. None of that is true. She showed us text messages, screenshots of things you said to her, cruel things. I never sent any messages like that. She's lying. She has proof, Harold. Documented proof. And she's talking about filing a restraining order against you because she's afraid of what you might do now that they've asked you to leave. The room spun. Pastor, you've known me for 32 years. You knew Martha. Do you really think I'm capable of what she's describing? I think grief can change people. I think losing Martha might have affected you more than any of us realized. And I think you need help, Harold. Professional help. But until you get it, I can't have you here making Amber uncomfortable. She's a member of this congregation too. I stood up. My legs were shaking. So you believe her? Over me? After everything? I believe the evidence I've seen. I walked out. In the hallway, I saw 3 people I'd known for years. They all looked away. Wouldn't meet my eyes. The whispers had already spread. Amber had poisoned the well. She'd come to my church, the place that should have been my sanctuary, and destroyed my reputation there too. I got in my car and drove. Didn't know where I was going. Just drove. Eventually ended up on the highway, heading toward Mapleton, the next town over. My brother Carl lived there, younger than me by 6 years. We'd grown up together, played baseball in the same little league, stood up at each other's weddings. Carl's house was a modest ranch with a big workshop out back where he ran his contracting business. His truck was in the driveway. I knocked on his door. He opened it but didn't invite me in. Just stood there in the doorway, blocking it with his body. Hey Carl, I said. Can I come in? I need to talk to you. Travis called me, Carl said. Yesterday. Told me you'd probably show up here telling wild stories. My heart sank. Stories? Carl, they kicked me out. They stole everything from me. The money, the house, everything. He said you'd say that. He also said you've been having some problems. Memory problems. Confusion. That you were diagnosed with early dementia last month. That's a lie. I don't have dementia. He showed me paperwork, Harold. Medical records. From Dr. Brennan at the clinic on 5th Street. I've never seen Dr. Brennan. I don't even know who that is. Carl's face was sad, but firm. I can't help you, Harold. I've known Travis his whole life. He's a good kid. And his wife showed me texts and messages that, well, they weren't good. I think you need professional help. Real help. Carl, I'm your brother, and Travis is my nephew. I can't choose sides here, but I also can't let you in my house if you're having these kinds of issues. I'm sorry. He closed the door in my face. I stood there on his porch for a full minute. Then I walked back to my car and sat behind the wheel. Amber had been thorough, incredibly thorough. The church, my own brother, medical records that didn't exist, text messages I'd never sent. She'd built an entire false narrative, and everyone believed it. I tried calling old friends, Bob Jenkins, who I'd worked with for 27 years before retirement. Voicemail. Left a message. He never called back. Susan and Phil Carter, neighbors from 2 houses down. Susan answered, then said she had to go and hung up before I could explain anything. Tom Rhodes, from the Veterans Hall. We'd played poker together for 15 years. He didn't answer at all. I'd been erased. Amber had systematically destroyed every relationship I had, and she'd done it in just a few days. How long had she been planning this? Weeks? Months? I drove to Morton's gas station on Route 47. It was 4 in the afternoon, the place where this had all started, where I'd bought those tickets every Friday for 12 years. A young kid was working the counter. Name tag said Danny. Early 20s, thin, with a sparse beard and a bored expression. Can I help you? He asked. Do you have security camera footage from a month ago? I asked. Footage? Why? I bought some lottery tickets here. I need to prove it. He shrugged. Our system only keeps footage for 14 days. After that, it gets recorded over. Company policy. What about receipts? Transaction records? For what date? I told him. He looked it up on his computer, shook his head. Individual transaction records don't go back that far in this system. Just daily totals. I felt another door slam shut. Do you remember me? I come here every Friday. Always buy 5 lottery tickets. Same time, between 2 and 3 in the afternoon. Danny looked at me more carefully. Yeah, actually I do remember you. You're the regular lottery guy. You always get 5 quick picks. Hope flickered. Would you testify to that? If I needed you to? In court or something? His expression changed. Became wary. Testify? Like, in actual court? Maybe. I don't know yet. Man, I can't afford to take time off work for court stuff. My manager would fire me for getting involved in customer disputes. I got bills to pay. I'd pay you for your time, I said, though I had no idea how I'd manage that with $76 to my name. Sorry, man. I can't help you with that, but good luck, I guess. I left, sat in my car in the parking lot, and stared at the gas pumps. Everything required money. Lawyers required money. Witnesses required money. Justice required money. And I had none. That night, I parked at a rest stop on Interstate 71. Used the bathroom there to wash up. Bought a bottle of water and a bag of pretzels from a vending machine for $4. Ate them slowly while watching the trucks come and go. I thought about my blood pressure medication. It was at the house. So were my cholesterol pills. I'd been taking them for 8 years, ever since Martha died, and my doctor said the stress had affected my heart. I was supposed to take them every morning. I'd missed 3 days now. That night, my chest felt tight. Not painful exactly, but uncomfortable, like someone was sitting on my sternum. I told myself it was stress, just anxiety. But lying there in my car, in the dark, listening to the sound of trucks on the highway, I wondered if this was how it would end. An old man dying alone in a car because his own son had betrayed him. By day 6, I developed a routine: wake up stiff and sore, drive to a gas station to use the bathroom and clean up as best I could, eat something cheap from a $1 menu, sit in my car and think about my next move. Try not to think about the chest pains that were getting more frequent. I was parked behind the public library, using their parking lot because they didn't seem to care, when the police car pulled up behind me. Officer Garcia got out and walked to my window. I rolled it down. Mr. Whitmore? Harold Whitmore? Yes. I need to serve you with some papers. He handed me a manila envelope. Inside were 2 sets of legal documents. My hands shook as I read them. The first was a temporary restraining order. It prohibited me from coming within 500 feet of my house, on Willow Street. It prohibited me from contacting Travis or Amber Whitmore by phone, email, text, or any other means. It said I'd been harassing and threatening them, that I'd made them fear for their safety. The order was effective immediately and would remain in place until a hearing in 4 days. The second document was worse. A civil lawsuit. Travis and Amber Whitmore, plaintiffs versus Harold Whitmore, defendant. They were suing me for $2 million in damages. I read the complaint with growing horror. It alleged that I had psychologically and financially abused them for 12 years, that I'd forced them to live in my home, that I'd coerced them into doing household chores as unpaid servants, that I'd withheld financial support as punishment for perceived slights, that I'd created a hostile living environment characterized by verbal abuse, manipulation, and control. They were claiming damages for emotional distress, unpaid labor, pain and suffering, and intentional infliction of emotional harm. Everything was inverted. My generosity had become exploitation. My providing for them had become abuse. My home had become their prison. Officer Garcia was watching me read. "You okay, sir?" "No," I said. "I'm not okay at all." He shifted uncomfortably. "You need to appear at the courthouse on Friday at 9 in the morning for the restraining order hearing. Make sure you're there." After he left, I sat in my car and tried to process it all. 4 days until the hearing. I needed a lawyer, but I had $63 left. I'd been living on $5 or $6 a day, trying to make the money last. It wouldn't last much longer. I drove downtown to the legal aid office, a small storefront with a worn sign and cramped waiting room. The receptionist, an older woman with kind eyes, took my information and said the waiting list for assistance was 6 weeks. "I have a hearing in 4 days," I said. She looked sympathetic but firm. "I'm sorry. We're understaffed. 6 weeks is the best we can do." I walked out, stood on the sidewalk, felt the sun on my face, and wondered how everything had gone so wrong so fast. Then I saw a small sign in a window across the street. Law Office of Amy Morrison, Public Defense, and Pro Bono Cases. It looked newer than the other businesses around it. I crossed the street and went inside. Amy Morrison was young, maybe 35, with short dark hair and sharp eyes behind black-framed glasses. Her office was tiny. One desk, a few filing cabinets, walls lined with law books. "I don't take walk-ins," she said when I entered. "You need an appointment." "Please," I said. "Just give me 5 minutes." Something in my voice must have convinced her. She gestured to a chair. 5 minutes. I told her everything, spoke quickly, trying to fit 12 years and a lifetime of heartbreak into 5 minutes. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "Mr. Whitmore, this is clearly retaliatory. But the problem is, they filed first. In the eyes of the court, they're the victims who came forward. You're the alleged abuser defending yourself. That's a hard position to argue from. But it's all lies. I believe you. But proving it is different. They have documentation, text messages, medical records, witness statements. What do you have? The truth." She smiled sadly. "Truth without evidence is just a story. I can represent you at the restraining order hearing. Pro bono, no charge. But I can't take on the civil lawsuit. That's beyond my capacity. What about the lottery ticket? Can you help with that? That's a separate legal matter entirely. And without proof that you still owned that specific ticket when Travis claimed it, you don't have standing to contest it." The hearing was on Friday morning. The courthouse was cold, all marble and echoing footsteps. Amy met me outside the courtroom. She was carrying a briefcase and wearing a dark suit. She looked professional. I looked like what I was, a homeless man who'd slept in his car for a week. Judge Patricia Hendricks presided. She was 50-ish, with steel gray hair and a no-nonsense expression. Travis and Amber sat at the plaintiff's table with their lawyer, a man in an expensive suit named Marcus Webb. Amber was called to testify first. She walked to the witness stand wearing a cream-colored dress and pearls. Looked like the perfect victim. Marcus Webb asked her to describe the abuse. She did, voice trembling, tears rolling down her cheeks. She talked about how I'd criticized her cooking, how I'd made passive-aggressive comments about her not working, how I'd threatened to kick them out if they didn't serve me like a king, how frightened she'd been when they won the lottery because she knew I'd retaliate. It was a masterful performance. Complete fiction, but masterful. Travis testified next. He wouldn't look at me, kept his eyes down, voice quiet. He made us feel like servants. Every meal we cooked, every time we cleaned, he'd remind us it was his house, his money. When we won the lottery, we finally had a chance to be free. We just wanted to be free. Amy cross-examined them, but it was like punching smoke. They had answers for everything, had clearly rehearsed. Then I testified, told my side, explained the 12 years of support, the money I'd spent, the way I'd welcomed them in, the promise I'd made to Martha. Marcus Webb cross-examined me. "Mr. Whitmore, did you or did you not add Travis to your bank account?" "Yes, but..." "Did you or did you not put the house in joint tenancy with him?" "Yes, for estate planning." "So you made these legal arrangements, giving him access to your finances and property? And now you're angry that he used that access?" "He betrayed my trust. Or he exercised his legal rights as a co-owner and co-account holder." Then came the moment I'd been dreading. "Mr. Whitmore, are you aware that you were diagnosed with early onset dementia last month?" "I was never diagnosed with any such thing." Marcus Webb produced documents, medical records from Dr. Brennan's clinic, signed, official-looking, stating that Harold Whitmore, age 71, was showing signs of cognitive decline, memory loss, and confusion. "These are fake," I said. Judge Hendricks leaned forward. "Mr. Whitmore, are you claiming your daughter-in-law forged medical records? That's a very serious accusation." "I'm saying I never saw this doctor. I never had this diagnosis. Do you have proof these records are falsified?" "I didn't." "How do you prove something doesn't exist?" The judge made her ruling. The restraining order would remain in effect for 60 days, pending a full hearing. I was to stay away from Travis and Amber. No contact of any kind. Outside the courthouse, I saw them getting into a brand new black Range Rover. Had to be $80,000 at least. They'd gotten the first lottery payment, $2.7 million after taxes. They were rich now, and I was broken. Amber saw me watching. She smiled. Actually smiled. Then they drove away. I sat on the courthouse steps. Amy sat next to me. "I'm sorry, Mr. Whitmore. I did everything I could." "I know. Thank you for trying. What will you do now?" I didn't have an answer. That evening my car was towed. I'd parked it on a street near the courthouse and accumulated 3 parking tickets. I didn't know about them. The towing company wanted $380 to release it. I had $47. Then your car will be sold at auction in 30 days, the man at the impound lot said. He didn't sound cruel, just matter of fact. I walked away from the lot, walked 6 miles to the only place I could think of. St. Jude's Mission, the homeless shelter downtown. It was a converted warehouse. Gray concrete blocks, small windows, rows of cots inside. The smell hit me when I walked in. Unwashed bodies, institutional food, despair. A man at the desk took my information. We serve dinner at 6. Lights out at 9. You'll need to be out by 7 in the morning, but you can come back at 5 in the evening. He showed me to a cot, in a long row of them. The thin mattress. The threadbare blanket. This was my life now. That night, lying on that cot, listening to the sounds of 40 other men sleeping, coughing, snoring, I met the man on the cot next to mine. His name was Walter. Late 70s, with white hair and deep wrinkles. He'd been a lawyer once, he told me. Lost everything in a financial scam 10 years ago. Been on the streets ever since. The system protects the wealthy, son, he said. His voice was rough, worn down by years of disappointment. Once they have money and you don't, you're already lost. Justice costs money. And without it, you might as well be invisible. I closed my eyes and felt tears on my face for the first time since this nightmare began. Day 14. 2 weeks since Amber threw my clothes out the window. 2 weeks of hell. I'd fallen into the rhythm of shelter life. Up at 6:30, out by 7, walk the streets all day, library when it's open, fast food bathroom when I need one, back to St. Jude's at 5, dinner at 6, sleep on a cot that hurt my back. My health was getting worse. The chest pains came more frequently now. Sharp little stabs that made me catch my breath. I'd managed to borrow blood pressure pills from a man named Eddie who had extra. He gave me 6 pills. 1 every other day. Wasn't enough, but better than nothing. That morning, I was standing in line for breakfast. Oatmeal and weak coffee. The fluorescent lights were too bright, made my head hurt. I felt dizzy, but that was normal now. Hadn't been eating enough. $47 had become $23. A pack of crackers here, a $1 hamburger there. Barely enough to survive. The room tilted suddenly. My vision went spotty. I heard someone say my name, but it sounded far away. Then the floor rushed up to meet me. I woke up in an ambulance. Bright lights overhead. A paramedic leaning over me, checking my pulse. "Mr. Whitmore, can you hear me? You collapsed. We're taking you to Metro General Hospital." The hospital emergency room was chaos. Beeping machines, people in scrubs rushing around, the smell of antiseptic. They hooked me up to monitors. A doctor appeared. Young woman. Tired eyes. "Mr. Whitmore, I'm Dr. Bradley. You've had a minor heart attack. Your blood pressure is dangerously high. 190 over 120. When did you last take your medication?" "I don't have my medication anymore." "You're also severely dehydrated and malnourished. How long since you've had a proper meal?" I didn't answer. Just closed my eyes. They admitted me. Put me in a bed on the cardiac floor. Started me on IV fluids and blood pressure medication. For the first time in 2 weeks, I felt clean. The sheets were cool and crisp. The bed was soft. I slept for 12 hours straight. When I woke up, a woman was sitting in the chair by my bed. She introduced herself as Linda, the hospital social worker, 50-ish, with kind eyes and a clipboard. "Mr. Whitmore, we need to discuss your discharge plan. Your doctor wants to keep you here for a few more days, but after that, where will you go?" "The shelter, I guess." She made notes. "Do you have insurance?" I did. But my son was on the account. He canceled it. "So, you're uninsured. Your bill so far is approximately $18,000. The hospital has programs for low-income patients. We can work out a payment plan. $18,000. Added to everything else I owed. Debts I'd never be able to pay. "I'll figure something out," I said. She left. I lay there watching the IV drip. Drip, drip, drip. Each drop another second of my life wasting away. On my second day in the hospital, he appeared. A man in a $5,000 suit, perfectly tailored. Italian shoes. Gold watch. He walked into my room like he owned it. "Mr. Whitmore, I'm Gregory Sloan. I represent Travis Whitmore. I'm here to discuss guardianship proceedings." My heart rate jumped. The monitor beeped faster. "Guardianship?" He sat down in the chair Linda had used, opened a leather briefcase, and pulled out documents. "Your son has filed a petition with the court to be appointed your legal guardian. The basis is diminished mental capacity. I don't have diminished capacity. The medical records say otherwise, and your recent behavior supports the diagnosis. You're homeless. You've been living in your car. You've been making wild accusations against your family. You can't take care of yourself. The evidence is quite clear. This is ridiculous. I'm not incompetent. Mr. Whitmore, if the court grants this petition, Travis will have legal authority to make decisions on your behalf. Financial decisions, medical decisions, housing decisions. He would, in effect, become responsible for your care. I understood what this meant. Travis would control everything. Any assets I had left, any claims I might make. He'd have the power to sign away my rights, make me disappear into whatever facility he chose. Why are you here? I asked. To make you an offer. Sign over any remaining claim to the lottery ticket. Agree not to contest the guardianship. In return, Travis will ensure you're placed in a comfortable nursing facility. All expenses paid. You'll be taken care of for the rest of your life. I'd rather die. Gregory smiled. Not a warm smile. A predator's smile. Mr. Whitmore, be reasonable. You're broke, homeless, and sick. You have no proof of anything. You've lost every battle so far. Accept the help being offered. Accept that you've lost. Get out. Think about it. The hearing is in 1 week. You can make this easy, or you can make it hard, but the outcome will be the same. He left. I lay there feeling my heart race, the monitor beeping its alarm. A nurse came in, adjusted my medication, told me to calm down, like it was that simple. That night, Linda came back with more bad news. Mr. Whitmore, I need to tell you something. Your son was here earlier today, before visiting ours. He signed the forms authorizing your treatment, listed himself as your primary contact and medical proxy. He can't do that without my permission. Actually, in emergency situations, if the patient is incapacitated and a family member is present with appropriate documentation, they can make decisions on the patient's behalf. He provided medical records showing your cognitive decline. Those records are fake. I can't verify that one way or another. I'm just letting you know the situation. I realized I was trapped. If I stayed in the hospital, Travis controlled my care. If I left, I'd probably die from my heart condition. Either way, I lost. That night was the darkest of my life. Lying in that hospital bed, hooked up to machines, knowing my own son was systematically destroying me. I thought about Martha. Wondered what she'd think if she could see what Travis had become. Wondered if I'd failed her somehow. Failed to raise him right. Failed to see what he truly was underneath. Maybe I should just give up. Sign the papers. Let Travis win. Spend whatever time I had left in some nursing home, drugged and docile, waiting to die. I must have dozed off, because the next thing I knew, someone was touching my shoulder. I opened my eyes. It was Walter from the shelter. How'd you get in here? I asked. It was 9 p.m, past visiting hours. Told them I was your brother, he said with a slight smile. Figured you could use a friendly face. Walter, listen, Harold. I've been asking around about your case. Told some people I know from my lawyer days, and I found someone you need to talk to. He stepped aside. A woman walked into the room. Late 50s, with short gray hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. She wore jeans and a blazer. Carried a messenger bag over her shoulder. Mr. Whitmore, I'm Janet Porter. I work as an investigator for a legal nonprofit called Elder Justice Advocates. Walter told me your story. I've seen cases like this before. Financial exploitation of elderly parents is more common than most people realize. She pulled a chair close to my bed. Sat down. I can't promise anything, but I'd like to look into this. See if there's evidence we can use. She asked me questions. Detailed questions. About the lottery ticket. About the timeline. About Amber's behavior over the past few months. About my routine at Morton's gas station. Then she asked something that made me pause. Did you ever notice your daughter-in-law spending time at that gas station? Or asking about lottery tickets? I thought back. Tried to remember. And then it hit me. About 6 weeks before they won, maybe 7, Amber suddenly started being nice to me. Really nice. Offering to run errands. She went to Morton's gas station 4 or 5 times over 2 weeks. Said she liked their coffee. Janet wrote that down. Morton's has terrible coffee. Everyone in town knows that. That's what I thought at the time. But I didn't question it. Did she ask you about the lottery tickets? About where you kept them? She asked once where I put things I didn't want to lose. I told her the kitchen drawer by the refrigerator. I keep important papers there. Janet nodded. Mr. Whitmore, I think your daughter-in-law has been planning this for a while. Longer than you realize. I'm going to do some digging. It'll take time. But if there's evidence out there, I'll find it. For the first time in 2 weeks, I felt something besides despair. Not hope exactly, but something close to it. A tiny spark in the darkness. Why are you helping me? I asked. Because what happened to you is wrong. And because I'm tired of watching people like Travis and Amber get away with it. She left me her card. Said she'd be in touch. After she and Walter left, I lay in the dark and thought about Amber's visits to Morton's. About her sudden kindness. About how she'd been positioning herself. Gathering information. Setting the stage for this betrayal weeks before it happened. This wasn't impulse. This was calculated. Premeditated. She'd seen the opportunity and built a plan. And I'd been too trusting, too naive, to see it coming. Day 19. The hospital released me with a stack of bills totaling $23,000, a prescription for blood pressure medication I couldn't afford, and strict instructions to reduce stress and get proper rest. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so tragic. I walked back to St. Jude's Mission. 6 blocks. Had to stop twice to catch my breath. My chest felt tight, but I made it. Walter was waiting for me at the shelter. Janet's been working your case hard. She wants to meet with you tomorrow. The next day, Janet picked me up in her car, a 12-year-old Toyota with a dented bumper. We drove to a diner on the edge of town. She bought me breakfast. Real breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast, coffee. I ate slowly, making it last. I've been busy, she said, pulling out a folder. Let me show you what I found. First, she'd tracked down Danny from Morton's gas station and convinced him to give a statement. She'd offered him $500 from her nonprofit's emergency fund. Danny had agreed. His statement was simple but powerful. Harold Whitmore purchased lottery tickets every Friday for years, always between 2 and 3 in the afternoon. Always 5 quick-pick tickets. He was one of our most regular customers. Everyone who worked there knew him. That establishes your pattern, Janet said. Your routine. Your ownership of those tickets. Next, she'd pulled my bank records going back 2 years. Highlighted every Friday purchase at Morton's. $15. Same time frame. Over and over. A clear, undeniable pattern. This shows you bought tickets. But here's where it gets interesting. She pulled out more papers. I requested security footage from Morton's. Not from the day of the winning ticket purchase. That footage is gone. But from the weeks when Amber was visiting. The gas station owner, Marcus Morton, had been reluctant at first. But Janet had explained this was a fraud investigation. Marcus had searched his archived footage. From 39 days ago, a clip showed Amber at the counter. Talking to a clerk named Tina. The conversation looked intense. Lasted several minutes. Janet had interviewed Tina. That woman asked me about lottery tickets. Wanted to know how they work. How people claim them. Whether the person who turns in a ticket is automatically considered the winner. I remember because she asked a specific question. If someone else in your family buys a ticket but you turn it in, whose name goes on the claim? My blood ran cold. She was researching how to steal it. Yes. She was planning this weeks in advance. And there's more. Janet had found my credit card statements. 3 years ago, Travis had added Amber as an authorized user. She'd had access to all my financial information. Could see what I bought, where I bought it, when I bought it. She knew your routine better than you did, Janet said. She knew you kept the tickets in the kitchen drawer. She knew you bought them every Friday. She knew everything she needed to know to steal that winning ticket and make it look legitimate. The pattern was clear now. Amber had been manipulating, planning, positioning herself for months, maybe years. I'm taking all of this to the State Lottery Commission, Janet said, filing a formal complaint of fraud. They have to investigate. 2 days later, we met with Thomas Bradley, the Lottery Commission's chief investigator. He was in his 50s, former state police, with the bearing of someone who'd seen every scam in the book. He reviewed Janet's evidence, asked me question, took notes. This is concerning, he said. Very concerning. The pattern you've established, Mr. Whitmore, combined with the evidence of premeditation, suggests possible fraud in the claim process. What can you do? I asked. We can freeze the remaining payments pending a full investigation. The initial payment has already been made, $2.7 million after taxes. But the remaining $57 million can be held until we determine the rightful owner of the ticket. It was something. Not justice yet, but something. The Lottery Commission launched its investigation. Within a week, they issued a freeze order. Travis and Amber would get no more money until the matter was resolved. I felt hope. Real hope. For the first time since this nightmare began, then everything fell apart again. Day 22. Janet called me at the shelter. Her voice was tight. "Harold, they're gone. Travis and Amber are gone." "What do you mean, gone?" "They've left the country. The house is empty. Cleaned out. They took the first payment and ran." My heart sank. "Where?" "Cayman Islands, best we can tell. They transferred the money to offshore accounts. Put it somewhere we can't easily reach it." A lawyer appeared on their behalf. Some slick attorney out of Miami claimed Travis and Amber had relocated due to credible threats against their safety from Harold Whitmore. Said they'd fight the lottery investigation from abroad. Refused to cooperate with the commission's inquiry. The guardianship hearing happened without Travis present. The petition was dismissed since he wasn't there to pursue it, but I gained nothing from it. The house was still in legal limbo. Couldn't sell it. Couldn't force Travis to sign anything. Couldn't live in it because technically it was still his residence too. Civil cases can take years, Janet explained. We were sitting in her office, a cramped space in a building that needed new carpet and paint. The Lottery Commission investigation will take months. Travis and Amber are outside U.S. jurisdiction. Extradition for civil fraud is nearly impossible, especially when they haven't been criminally charged yet. So they win. They get away with everything. I'm not giving up, Harold, but I need you to understand, this is going to be a long fight, and there are no guarantees. The medical bills went to collections. My credit score, which had been good for 50 years, dropped to 473. The hospital placed a lien on any future assets I might acquire. I sat in the common room at St. Jude's that evening, watching the news on the old TV mounted in the corner, and there they were, Travis and Amber. A story about lottery winners living it up in the Caribbean. The footage showed them on a white sand beach. Tropical drinks with little umbrellas, laughing. Travis had his arm around Amber. They looked happy. Free. Rich. The reporter said, "The Whitmores are enjoying their $60 million windfall with an extended vacation in paradise." Other men in the shelter watched with me. One of them, a guy named Rick who'd lost his job and his family, said, "Must be nice." Walter sat down next to me, looked at the TV, looked at my face. "Sometimes the bad guys win, son. That's the truth of it. That's the ugly truth nobody wants to admit." I went outside, sat on the curb in front of the shelter, stared at the street, at the cars going by. Normal people living normal lives. I'd won nothing. After all of Janet's work, after all the evidence, after everything, Travis and Amber were still rich, still free, still unpunished, and I was still homeless. Still sick, still broken. My phone rang. The cheap flip phone Janet had gotten me so we could stay in contact. I almost didn't answer, almost threw the thing into the street, but I answered. "Mr. Whitmore?" It was Marcus Morton, the owner of the gas station. "I found something. I was going through our old paperwork from that Friday you're asking about, and you need to come see this." Marcus Morton met us at the gas station at 8 in the morning. Me, Janet, and Walter. Marcus unlocked the door to his back office. It was cluttered with boxes and filing cabinets, and a computer that looked like it was from 2005. "Our receipt system," Marcus explained. "Every lottery ticket sold generates a computer log, has a timestamp, terminal number, and a unique transaction code. I didn't think about it until last night. But we keep these logs for 7 years. Company policy for tax purposes." He sat at the computer and pulled up files. "Your purchase was on Friday, March 14th. You said between 2 and 3 in the afternoon, right?" "Yes. I came in around 2:15, maybe 2:20. Marcus typed, searched, then smiled. "Here it is. Transaction at 2:17 p.m. Terminal 3. 5 quick pick tickets. Purchase amount $15. Credit card transaction." He showed us the screen. There it was. My purchase. Logged and documented. "But here's the important part," Marcus said. He pulled up another screen. The system logs which specific ticket numbers were generated in each transaction. It's automatic. Part of the Lottery Commission's tracking requirements. He scrolled through data. Found the entry. Read off 5 ticket numbers. The third one made my breath catch. I recognized it from the news reports. From the court documents. From everything. "That's the winning ticket number," Janet said. "That's the $60 million winner. And it was generated in Harold's transaction," Marcus said. "At 2:17 p.m. on March 14th, Terminal 3. There's no question. This ticket was purchased by Harold Whitmore using his credit card. The computer doesn't lie." Janet was already on her phone, making calls. This was ironclad proof, undeniable. The kind of evidence that would stand up in any court in the country. Within hours, she'd filed a lawsuit. Harold Whitmore versus Travis Whitmore, Amber Whitmore, and the State Lottery Commission, demanding the commission void Travis's claim and recognize me as the rightful winner. The case moved fast. When you have this kind of clear evidence, things happen quickly. The Lottery Commission's own records supported my claim. They had no choice but to act. 3 weeks later, the commission issued its ruling. Travis's claim was void due to fraudulent acquisition of the winning ticket. Harold Whitmore was declared the rightful winner. All payments to Travis were to cease immediately. Recovery proceedings for the initial payment would begin. The Cayman Islands Bank, facing legal pressure from U.S. authorities and fraud accusations, froze Travis and Amber's accounts. They'd been living large at a luxury resort, spending money like it would never run out. Suddenly, they couldn't access a penny. They tried to pay their resort bill with promises and IOUs. The resort didn't appreciate that, had them arrested for fraud. The Cayman authorities, under pressure from the U.S. Justice Department and facing potential sanctions for harboring fraud proceeds, cooperated. Travis and Amber were extradited back to the United States. They were arrested at the airport, handcuffed, led away in orange jumpsuits. Criminal charges followed: fraud, theft, elder abuse, forgery of medical documents, identity theft. The prosecutor was a woman named Sharon Walsh, 50-ish, with steel gray hair and a reputation for not backing down. "We're pursuing maximum penalties," she told me in her office. "What they did to you was calculated and cruel. This wasn't impulse. This was premeditated exploitation of a vulnerable elderly person. The kind of case that makes me sick." The house situation resolved itself. My lawyer, a man named David Brennan from a major firm doing this pro bono for the publicity, forced a partition sale. The house sold for $412,000. Normally, Travis's half would be his, but given the criminal charges, the restitution requirements, and the liens against him, his portion was redirected to my legal fees and damages. I received the full amount. It felt good, but not as good as I'd expected. The house was gone. The house Martha and I had built our life in. That was a loss no money could fix. The lottery payment began. The State Lottery Commission processed my claim. I received the first installment of the $60 million prize. After federal and state taxes, it came to $2.7 million, the exact amount Travis and Amber had stolen. Roger Pemberton, the lawyer who'd betrayed me, faced Bar Association ethics charges. Janet had filed a formal complaint with detailed evidence of his conflict of interest and bribery. His law license was suspended, pending a full investigation. His reputation was destroyed. He'd never practice law again. Pastor Douglas called me, asked if he could come see me. I was living in a motel by then, no longer at the shelter, waiting for everything to finalize so I could buy a real home. He came to my room, stood in the doorway looking ashamed. "Harold, I owe you an apology. A real apology. I believed Amber's lies. I turned my back on you when you needed your church family most. I failed you. I failed everything I'm supposed to stand for." "Yes," I said. "You did. Will you forgive me?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "I can forgive you, Douglas, but I can't forget, and I won't be coming back to your church. Too much has happened." He nodded, left with his head down. My brother Carl called next. He was crying before he even said hello. "Harold, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Travis showed me those fake medical records, and I just believed him. I should have known better. You're my brother. I should have trusted you." "You should have," I agreed. Can we fix this? Can I make it right?" "I don't know, Carl. I honestly don't know. What you did hurt worse than almost anything else. You're my brother, my blood, and you chose Travis over me. I'll do anything. Please. I need time. Maybe someday we can rebuild something. But not now. Not yet." The criminal trial took 4 months. I sat in the courtroom every single day, watched Travis and Amber at the defense table. They'd hired expensive lawyers with money they didn't have anymore. The lawyers tried everything, argued that I'd been mentally incompetent, that I'd given them permission, that the ticket was a gift. But the evidence was overwhelming. The security footage of Amber researching the claim process, the bank records showing her access to my finances, the forged medical records, the witness testimony from Danny and Tina, Marcus Morton's computer logs proving I'd bought the winning ticket. Travis broke on the stand, started crying during cross-examination. "I'm sorry," he said, looking at me for the first time. "I'm so sorry, Dad." "Amber," she got in my head, "made me believe you were controlling us. I was weak. I should have stood up for you. I should have been the son you and Mom raised me to be. Amber showed no remorse. Blamed me for everything. He was controlling, she insisted. He manipulated Travis. Made him feel guilty. Everything I did was to free us from his psychological abuse. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Came back with guilty verdicts on all counts. Sentencing was 2 weeks later. Judge Hendricks, the same judge who'd granted the restraining order against me, handed down the penalties. Amber received 6 years in federal prison, plus restitution requirements, plus a lifetime restraining order prohibiting her from contacting me after her release. Travis received 3 years. Lighter sentence due to cooperation and genuine remorse. But still prison time. Still a felony record. Still consequences. I watched them led away in chains. Felt a complicated mix of emotions. Satisfaction, grief, anger, relief. My son was going to prison. The boy I'd raised. The child Martha had loved more than life itself. But he'd betrayed me. Had chosen greed over family. Had let a manipulative woman turn him into someone I didn't recognize. 6 months after it all began, I had a new house, smaller than the old one. A 3-bedroom ranch in a quiet neighborhood. New furniture, new appliances. Everything clean and fresh. And mine. I established a foundation called Martha's Promise. Named after my wife. Its mission was to help elderly people facing financial exploitation from family members. Janet ran it. We'd helped 17 families in our first 6 months. Provided legal assistance, investigations, support. Walter moved into a small apartment I helped him get. We had coffee together twice a week. He was off the streets, had dignity back. Started doing consulting work for the foundation, using his old legal knowledge to help others. The debts were paid. Medical bills, legal fees, everything settled. I visited Travis once in prison. Sat across from him with a glass barrier between us. Talked through phones. "Dad," he said. His orange jumpsuit made him look young, vulnerable, like the boy he'd been. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know, I loved Mom. I loved you. I lost my way. I let Amber poison everything good in me. Your mother always said family means loving people, even when they hurt you," I said. "But it doesn't mean letting them destroy you. I hope you find yourself in here, Travis. I really do. I hope you become the man your mother believed you could be. Will you come back? Visit me again? I don't know. I need time to heal. Maybe someday." I walked out of that prison and felt a weight lift. Not all the way. Some scars don't heal. But enough. I'm 71 years old now. I spent 12 years being a doormat, being used, being taken advantage of by people I loved. Then I spent 6 months fighting like hell, fighting for my dignity, for justice, for the truth. And I learned something through all of this. Something important. Generosity without boundaries becomes exploitation. I gave Travis and Amber everything. And in doing so, I enabled them to never grow. Never stand on their own. Never develop real character. Love without self-respect becomes servitude. I loved my son so much that I forgot to love myself. Forgot that I deserved better than to be used. And family, real family, isn't about blood or obligation. It's about integrity, respect, genuine care. Travis was my blood, but he stopped being my family the moment he chose greed over honor. When Amber threw my belongings out that window, she thought she was taking everything from me. My home, my security, my dignity. But she actually gave me something valuable. She gave me my freedom. Freedom from being used. Freedom from false obligations. Freedom to rebuild a life based on truth instead of guilt. The money is nice. I won't lie about that. $60 million changes everything. Justice feels good too. Watching Travis and Amber face consequences for what they did. But the real victory was something deeper. The real victory was realizing I deserved better. That I was worth fighting for. That sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you can do. And sometimes fighting back is necessary. If you're out there facing something similar, if someone is using you, taking advantage of your kindness, remember this. Compassion for others should never require cruelty to yourself. Set boundaries. Stand firm. And if they take everything, well, they can't take who you are. I'm 71 years old. I lost 12 years to manipulation and 6 months to hell. But I'm still here. Still standing. Still fighting. I sit in my new house now. Small garden in the back where I've planted tomatoes. Martha used to grow tomatoes. Said they tasted like sunshine. I tend those plants and think about her. about the life we built together, about the promise I made to her. I kept my promise, honey. Just took a different path than we planned. Walter visits twice a week. We drink coffee on the back porch and talk about everything and nothing. He's become one of my closest friends. Funny how crisis can bring people together. How the worst moments can lead to the best connections. The foundation is growing. Martha's promise helped 23 families last month alone. Every time we save someone from what happened to me, every time we stop an abuser or expose a fraud, I feel Martha smiling somewhere. This is my life now. Not the life I planned, not the life I expected, but a good life, an honest life, a life built on truth and justice and helping others. And that's enough. That's more than enough. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever trusted someone completely, only to have that trust shattered? Have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace and standing up for yourself? What would you have done in my situation? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched you, if it made you think about your own relationships and boundaries, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories, and maybe, just maybe, helps someone who needs to hear this message. And subscribe to the channel. I share stories like this regularly. Real stories about real struggles and real victories. Stories that matter. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's being taken advantage of. Someone who needs to know they're worth fighting for. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of this journey. I hope wherever you are, whatever you're facing, you remember your own worth. You remember that you deserve respect, that you deserve love, that lifts you up instead of tears you down. Take care of yourselves out there. Set those boundaries. Stand firm, and never let anyone make you feel small. Until next time,